It begins with a lantern, small and steady, beside the rain-dark stone at the edge of the path. The loudest parts of the day have loosened and fallen away. You are at the foot of a quiet hill, where more lanterns stand low among wet grass and silver-green leaves. Moonlight rests in the puddles, soft enough to seem almost warm. The evening is cool, but not cold. The air has that gentle after-rain feeling, as if the whole world has been rinsed, then set down carefully for the night. Above you, near the top of the hill, a glass dome glows through mist. It is not bright. It does not ask to be noticed. It only gathers a warm amber light in its windows and lets the moon rest softly on its curved roof. From here, it looks part observatory, part greenhouse, part shelter for anyone whose thoughts have traveled too far during the day and need a smaller sky for a while. The path asks very little of you. Each lantern shows only the next few steps: damp stone, moss at the edges, a pale flower leaning near the wall, a low railing smooth beneath your hand. You do not need to hurry. The hill is gentle. The light ahead is patient. Behind you, the ordinary world is already quieter. No door closes sharply behind you. No voice calls you back. The night simply opens a little, making room for slow footsteps and warm glass, and the soft shape of the moon above the observatory. A drop of water falls from a leaf to another leaf, then to the grass. A lantern gives us steady glow. The path curves once, and the observatory waits above, holding its light as if it has been expecting only this. One tired visitor, arriving slowly, with nothing to prove and nowhere else to be. At the top of the hill, the path widens into a small stone landing. The observatory stands close now, larger than it seemed from below, but still gentle in its size. Its walls are made of many panes of old glass, some clear, some faintly rippled, all catching moonlight in quiet blue and silver. The main dome rises above them, ribbed with dark metal that has been softened by years of rain, moss, and careful hands. Beside the door is a bench with a folded blanket over one arm. A little roof of glass keeps the bench dry. Beneath it, a tray holds a cup turned upside down, a small cloth, and a round stone paperweight that keeps nothing important from blowing away. The door itself is not locked. It rests in its frame with a brass handle warm from the air inside. When you open it, the change is immediate and kind. Outside, the night is cool and open. Inside, the glass house holds plant-warm air, low lamplight, and the faint scent of leaves after watering. The floor is made of dark stone, smooth, and slightly damp near the threshold. A row of coat hooks waits along the wall. A shallow tray catches drops from umbrellas. Though no umbrella is needed now, no one asks your name. No sign demands reading. The observatory feels like a place that learned long ago how to welcome quietly. You step inside and let the door close behind you with a soft wooden sound. The moon remains visible through the glass. The hill remains outside, and the first room of the Moon Garden Observatory gathers around you with warm panes, green shadows, and a silence that seems already arranged for rest. The foyer is small and easy to understand without thinking. A low table stands near the wall, its surface worn smooth by cups, books, folded gloves, and perhaps many quiet evenings like this one. On the table is a ceramic lamp with a shade the color of honey. Its light touches the stone floor, the coat hooks, the blanket on the bench, and the lower leaves of a potted fern that leans toward the warmth. The walls are glass above waist height, but the lower panels are paneled in old dark wood. Between the panels, narrow shelves hold simple things: a roll of soft twine, a brass watering can, a shallow bowl of pale seed pods, a stack of folded towels for damp sleeves. None of it needs to be used. It is restful just to see useful things in their places and to feel that whatever the night might need is already close at hand. A cup of warm herbal tea waits beneath a covered lid. It might be chamomile or lemon balm or only warm water, with a leaf floating quietly inside. The exact name can stay unknown. You lift the cup, and its warmth settles into your palms. Beyond the foyer, a path of flat stones leads into the first garden room. The stones are set among low moss and little silver markers with no readable words. The markers shine faintly and then fade back into the green. Somewhere above, rainwater or dew travels along a gutter with a tiny glass sound. Drop, pause, drop. The observatory does not ask you to begin anything. It only gives you a warm cup, a place to stand, and a path that curves out of sight among leaves lit softly by the moon. The first garden room opens around the path a little at a time. Here the ceiling is lower than the main dome, a slanting roof of glass held in dark ribs. Moonlight lies across the panes, filtered by mist, so the whole room is bright enough to see but dim enough for dreams. Along both sides of the path are beds of pale moonflowers, their round white blooms turned upward, open in the cool hours, as if they have been waiting for the softer light. They hardly move, except in the ordinary way flowers move when the air changes. A leaf tilts, a petal lifts at the edge, a long stem bends gently toward the glass. The quiet is green and simple, made of damp soil, soft shade, and the faint sweet scent some flowers save for night. You walk between them without needing to know their names. The stones beneath your feet are wide and steady. Small lamps are placed low, almost hidden among ferns. So the flowers seem to hold both moonlight and lamplight at once. White, amber, green, and the deep indigo of the sky beyond the glass. Halfway through the room, a bench waits beneath a broad leaf. The bench is curved to fit the wall, and a cushion lies on it, covered in muted blue fabric. You may sit for a moment, or only imagine sitting, while the moonflowers make a soft ring around the path. The cup warms your hands. A pane of glass shows the blurred lantern path outside, now lower on the hill and far away. The observatory has begun its quiet work, bringing the night close enough to touch, and making it gentle enough to let go. Past the moonflowers, the path bends into deeper green. Ferns grow here, in broad layers, some tall and feathered, some small and curled like sleeping hands. Their fronds overlap in the low light, making soft shadows on the stone. The air is a little cooler in this room, and the scent is more green than sweet, like rain on leaves, moss under glass, and soil that has held the day's warmth into evening. The walkway curves rather than runs straight. It seems made for slower walking. Every few steps, a plant leans gently into view, or a lamp appears near the floor, or a pane of glass catches the moon and turns silver for a breath before returning to blue. There is no need to look very far ahead. The next stone is enough, then the next. The observatory lets movement become small and rhythmic. Footstep, leaf, lamp. Footstep, leaf, lamp. A tiny drop falls from a fern tip into a hidden tray. Somewhere behind you, the moonflower room remains pale and calm. Somewhere ahead, the glass roof rises toward the circular rooms under the dome. Beside the path, an old watering can rests on a flat stone. Its brass has darkened with age, except where a hand would hold it. A coil of twine hangs from a peg. A pair of soft garden gloves lies folded together, fingers tucked inward as if they too are asleep. These little signs of care make the room feel tended, without needing anyone to appear. The plants have been tended, the lamps have been lowered, the path has been swept. And you are allowed to pass through slowly, carrying nothing but the warm cup and the quiet impression of green leaves, breathing under moonlit glass. The garden path arrives at a round room. It is not large, but the ceiling curves upward, and the walls are mostly glass, so the room feels open in a peaceful way. A circular table stands in the center, made of dark wood with a brass rim. Around it are low chairs with cushions the color of mist. Above the table hangs a lamp with a warm shade, and beneath that lamp lies a star map. The map is old, and it does not ask to be studied. Its lines are pale, its dots are small. The names, if there are names, are too softened by age and lamplight to matter. It is less like an instruction, and more like a pattern on a quilt, or frost on a winter window, or seeds scattered across dark cloth. You may rest one hand on the edge of the table. The brass is smooth and cool. The wood beneath it has tiny marks from compasses, cups, pencils, and other gentle tools used long ago by people who also knew when to stop working. Along the wall are shallow drawers with moon-shaped handles. Some drawers are open a finger's width, showing rolled maps tied with pale ribbon. Others are closed and quiet. On a side shelf, a magnifying glass lies unused on a square of felt. It can stay unused. Tonight, the stars do not need enlargement. Through the glass, the garden surrounds the room. Ferns press green shadows against the lower panes. Moonflowers glow beyond them. Above, the real sky is visible through the curved roof, but softened, close and kind. The observatory does not explain the night. It makes a place where the night can sit beside a lamp, like any other familiar thing, and become gentle. Near the star map table, the small drawers keep a quiet order of their own. You do not have to open them, but one is already resting slightly ajar, as if it has been left that way for air. Inside are rolled papers, each tied with a loose ribbon. The ribbons are grey, cream, pale blue, and one soft green, like the underside of a leaf. The ends of the ribbons curl naturally, without needing to be straightened. The papers themselves are thick and fibrous. Their edges have softened over time. Some hold only faint circles. Some have scattered silver points. Some may be mass, sky as sea map, of the sky as seen through different windows of the observatory, though that thought can drift away before it turns into a lesson. A little brass weight, shaped like a smooth half moon, rests beside the open drawer. It catches the lamp and gives it back in a warm, sleepy color. You close the drawer gently. It makes a sound like a page being turned from far away. The room grows still again. On another shelf, On another shelf stands a row of glass jars, each filled with something harmless and pretty. Pale sand, dried petals, dark seeds, tiny smooth stones, bits of shell, or frosted glass. The jars have labels, but the writing is too small to read from where you stand. And there is comfort in leaving the words alone. Not everything has to become information. Some things can simply be texture. Were, paper, brass, glass, a low lamp on a round table. Beyond the wall, leaves touch the pane with the faintest sound. Not speaking, not asking, only being there. In the mild greenhouse air, for a few breaths, the star map room becomes no more complicated than that. A short passage leads from the round room to the telescope balcony. It is an indoor balcony beneath the wider curve of the main dome, with a rail of dark wood and brass. The floor is polished by time. A velvet stool waits near the center, and beside it stands the old telescope, angled not toward anything dramatic, but toward a quiet patch of sky where the moon has softened the clouds into silver. The telescope is beautiful because it feels restful. Its brass tube holds the lamplight in dull gold. Its wheels are smooth and round. Its little knobs have been turned by many careful fingers, and now they rest exactly where they are. You do not need to screw it. You do not need to look through it. You may, if you like, place one hand near the wheel and feel the cool metal. But even that is optional. Through the dome, the sky seems close, not vast, not empty, not asking anything of you. Only a blue-black ceiling beyond a warm glass room, with small lights softened by the panes. The moon is partly hidden by the curved ribs of the dome, and that makes it feel more like a lamp hanging in another room than a distant body in space. Below the balcony, the garden rooms spread in quiet layers. Ferns, moonflowers, dark leaves, low paths, little lamps at the edges of stone. The observatory holds the garden and the sky cyan moo, breath, green below, blue above. Amber around you. The stool is low and cushioned. You sit for a while, or imagine sitting, with your cup on the small round stand beside you. The telescope keeps pointing calmly through the glass, doing its old work without urgency, while the room around it becomes softer and softer in the moonlight. From the telescope balcony, the sky becomes very simple. There may be many stars outside the dome, but the room does not ask you to count them. There may be names for every line and point, but the names can stay folded in the drawers. Tonight, the sky is only a quiet blue patch, a few soft lights, and the moon resting behind a veil of thin cloud. You look upward without trying to understand anything. The glass changes the sky in a comforting way. It softens the edges. It softens the edges. It catches a little mist. It turns distance into something near enough to belong in the room. A star seen through the dome is less like a faraway fact and more like a pinprick of warm thread in dark cloth. The brass telescope stands beside you. The velvet stool supports you. The railing curves under your hand. Somewhere below, a small lamp burns beside a fern. Somewhere farther back, the foyer cup tray waits on its table, and the door holds the cool hill outside. Everything remains connected. The path did not vanish when you left it. The moonflowers did not need your attention to stay open. The star map did not need to be read to remain beautiful. It is a gentle thing to remember at night. The world can continue softly without being held in the mind. You may let the sky blurred. You may let the sky blur a little. You may let the dome ribs become slow, dark lines across blue. You may let the old telescope keep its patient angle while your own thoughts loosen, one by one, like ribbons untied from rolled paper and left to curl naturally in the lamplight. When you leave the balcony, the path slopes down by a few shallow steps. The steps are wide. A rail follows them, polished by touch, warm where the lamps reach it. At the bottom, the garden opens into a room with an indoor bridge over water. The bridge is small and arched only slightly, made of dark wood with a smooth handrail. Beneath it lies a reflecting pool, so still that the moon and lamps seem to be sleeping inside it. Floating on the water are a few pale petals. They do not hurry. They drift near the edge, turn once, and come to rest beside a stone. The water is dark enough to be calm, shallow enough to feel safe, and lit enough that there is nothing unknown about it. It simply holds reflections. You step onto the bridge. The wood gives one soft note under your foot, then settles. From the highest point of the little arch, you can see back toward the telescope balcony and forward toward another garden room where taller glass panes rise into shadow. The bridge is not a crossing between danger and safety. It is only a pleasant pause between one quiet place and another. A lamp on the railing shows a circle of amber on the water. The circle trembles when a drop falls from a leaf. Then it becomes round again. You may stand there as long as you like, looking down at moonlight broken into soft shapes. Nothing waits for an answer on the far side. Nothing follows behind you. The observatory moves at the speed of water under glass. After a while, you continue across, carrying the feeling of the bridge with you. Wood, water, petal, lamp, and the mild hush of the dome above. Beside the bridge, the reflecting pool widens into a quiet oval. There are low stones around it, each one smooth and dark from moisture. Between the stones grow tiny leaves, no higher than a thumb, catching drops of water like clear beads. A clay bowl sits at one end of the pool, where a thread of water enters from a small spout shaped like a curled leaf. The water slips into the bowl, then over its rim and finally into the pool without splashing. The sound is nearly too soft to hear. Still, once you notice it, your breathing may follow. Water into bowl, bowl into pool, pool into stillness. Above the oval, the glass roof is darker. It shows the moon in a softened reflection, not perfect, not round all the time, but enough. The lamps around the room are low and warm. Their reflections stretch slightly in the water, becoming golden threads that drift among the pale petals. There is a bench near the pool, covered in woven fabric, the color of mist and moss. You sit, or imagine sitting, with the warm cup now nearly empty beside you. The air feels damp and kind against your face. This room has fewer flowers than the others, fewer objects, fewer small reasons for the eyes to move. It is a place where the observatory begins to lower its voice. A fern shadow leans across the floor. A petal turns once in the pool. The lit spout keeps offering water to the bowl. The bowl keeps offering water to the dark oval. And the dark oval keeps holding the moon loosely and peacefully, as if holding something loosely is the gentlest way to keep it. The next corridor is lined with night-blooming plants. Some have pale flowers, Some only dark leaves, and some hold tiny buds that may open later when no one is watching. The corridor is long, but not tiring. Its floor is level, its lamps are low, and its glass walls look into a narrow outdoor court where mist rests among shrubs and stones. Every few steps, the air changes slightly. Here, a sweet green scent. There, the clean smell of damp stone. Then a breath of cool air from a small vent left open at the top of a pane. The plants are not strange. They are not watching. They are only plants, living their quiet nighttime life under glass, responding to light, moisture, temperature, and the slow care of unseen hands. That ordinary gentleness is more than enough. Along one wall are small shelves with clay pots, waiting for morning. Pause. Some pots are empty. Some hold cuttings under bell jars. Some hold folded cloths or little tags, turned face down so no words ask to be read. A broom leans in the corner, bristles, clean and tied with twine. The corridor turns very gradually. You can see the main dome ahead through 2 layers of glass, but it is softened by leaves, so it seems to float among them. The moon has moved a little, or perhaps the building has changed around it. The effect is the same. The light is lower, more silver, more ready to become part of sleep. Your footsteps become slow enough that they no longer feel like walking toward a destination. They feel like part of the place. Step, leaf, lamp, breathe. The corridor carries you on without asking you to keep track of how far you have come. At the end of the corridor is a caretaker's workroom with the door open. There is no one inside at this moment, but the room feels kindly occupied by the work already done there. A wooden table stands beneath a high window. On it are soft brushes, a closed notebook, a coil of cotton string, and small envelopes of seeds stacked in a shallow tray. The envelopes are plain. If there is writing on them, it is turned away or too faint to read. A lamp with a green shade gives the table a pool of warm light. Under the table, 2 baskets hold folded cloths. On the wall, tools hang from small hooks, a trowel, pruning shears, a tiny rake, all clean and resting. Nothing sharp asks for attention. Nothing seems urgent. The tools look like they have finished their work. For the night and a diet are grateful to be still. A chair is pulled back slightly, as if someone stood up not long ago and stepped out to check a lamp or close a vent. On the chair lies a knitted shawl in muted grey-blue wool. You do not enter far. You only pause at the threshold and let the room offer its quiet message. Care can happen without noise. A place can be tended so gently that the tending itself becomes invisible, leaving behind only folded cloths, watered soil, lowered lamps, and paths swept clean for tired feet. Beside the door is a small shelf with extra blankets. One is cream, one dark green, one the color of moonlit stone. You take the green one, or simply notice that it is there. The workroom remains behind you, warm and orderly. The closed notebook remains closed. The seeds rest in their envelopes. The lamp keeps its small circle on the table as the corridor continues toward the quieter rooms under the dome. The West Dome Gallery is broader than the rooms before it. Here, the glass rises high above you, curving inward toward the center of the observatory. The ribs of the dome are dark and graceful, like the branches of an old tree drawn against the sky. Between them, panes of glass hold blue night, silver mist, and the softened moon. Along the gallery wall are long planters filled with low green plants and pale blossoms. Between the planters sit cushioned benches, each with a folded blanket at one end. The blankets are not displayed. They are simply ready. A small table beside one bench holds a covered teapot, 2 cups, and a dish of honey that catches the lamp in a quiet amber glow. You may sit at the bench nearest the glass. From here, the observatory feels like a world within a world. Below and behind you are the garden rooms, the moonflowers, the ferns, the star map room, the pool. Above you is the sky, but softened by glass and warmed by lamps. Around you are plants, benches, blankets, and the steady sense that nothing important will be missed if your eyes close for a moment. The gallery is not exactly silent. It has the mild sounds of a living building at night. A pane adjusting to cooler air, a leaf touching another leaf, water moving in a hidden pipe, the faintest settling of wood. These sounds are small enough to become part of the quiet, not interruptions to it. You rest your hands around the cup. The blanket lies near your elbow. The blanket lies near your elbow. The moon looks smaller through the curved glass now, closer to the size of the lamp's warm reflection. The observatory has made the sky domestic, and the dome holds it gently overhead. In a small alcove off the gallery stands a cabinet of old lenses. The cabinet has glass doors, though the glass is clouded enough that everything inside looks soft and underwater. Round lenses rest on velvet pads. Some are clear at the center and misted at the edges. Some have a faint green shine. One is large enough to hold a reflection of the lamp, the moon, and part of the dome in the same small circle. The cabinet is not scientific tonight. Not really. It is simply beautiful, in a drowsy way. A little card may explain what each lens once did, but the words are too small and pale to read, and the cabinet does not mind. You can let the lenses remain unnamed. They have already done their work for many years, bending light, softening light, helping careful eyes look upward. Now they rest behind glass. Now they rest behind glass, while other light moves through the observatory without needing help. A dust cloth lies folded on a shelf below the cabinet. Beside it is a tiny brass key on a blue ribbon. The key is not for you to use. It only shows that the cabinet is cared for, opened sometimes, cleaned gently, closed again. You see your own reflection in the clouded door, but only faintly. A suggestion of shoulders, cup, blanket, lamplight. Nothing sharp enough to hold. The reflection can blur back into the room. Behind you, the west gallery remains warm and wide. Ahead, a dim passage curves toward the upper sleeping alcoves. You do not need to know whether the lenses sees stars, moons, clouds, or only lamplight now. They are resting. The cabinet is resting, and the room is slowly becoming less about looking and more about letting the eyes grow heavy. Before the final rooms, an herb tea alcove is built into the curve of the wall. It has a tiled counter, a low shelf of cups, and a small kettle kept warm by a covered flame that glows safely behind blue glass. Bundles of dried leaves hang from a rail overhead. They are tied neatly with thread, and their shadows make soft shapes on the wall. No one needs to prepare anything elaborate. A pot is already waiting, warm but not hot, with steam lifting only faintly from the spout. The cup nearest you is simple and pale, with a small chip in the glaze that has been smoothed by time. It fits easily in both hands. You pour a little tea. The sound is low and rounded. The scent is mild, more like a garden after rain than anything strong enough to wake the senses. You carry the cup to a bench under a narrow window. Outside that window, the hill falls away into mist. And, far below, the lantern path is almost hidden among leaves. This alcove is one of those small places that make a building feel kind, not grand, not impressive, only thoughtful. A cup where a cup is needed. A bench where a pause might happen. A low flame behind blue glass. A shelf where clean cups rest upside down, waiting for hands that may or may not come. You set the cup down for a moment and listen. The observatory is quieter now. The earlier rooms are becoming memories. White flowers, green ferns, star maps, brass scope, telescope, water under the bridge. Each one remains somewhere behind you, and none of them needs to be revisited in order to stay peaceful. The tea warms your hands one last time. The passage ahead glows very softly. The passage ahead. The passage from the tea alcove leads to a short stair. The stair follows the inside curve of the dome, rising only a little, then leveling out, then rising again. Each step is shallow and broad. On the wall beside it, low lamps are set into small niches, their light turned down, until each one is only a warm shell in the dark. You climb slowly. There is almost no effort in it. The rail is smooth beneath your hand. The blanket, if you carry it, rests over one arm. The cup is empty now, or nearly empty, and can be left on a small tray at the stair landing. The observatory has thought of that too. A place to set down what is finished. At the first landing, you look through an interior window and see the reflecting pool below. It is darker now, its petals gathered near one side. At the next landing, you can see the star map room, its table lamp lowered. The map no more than a pale circle under glass. At the last landing, the moonflower room appears as a soft white blur behind leaves. The building seems to be putting itself to bed, not closing, only settling. The lamps lower. The water stills. The plants hold the night quietly in their leaves. At the top of the stair, the dome curves close overhead. The air is cooler here, but the floor runner is soft, and the walls have small wooden panels below the glass to make the base feel sheltered. A final corridor waits, lined with alcoves. Most are empty. One has a folded quilt. One has a low lamp. One, at the far end beneath the clearest pane of moonlit glass, has been prepared for rest. The resting alcove is simple. It is built into the curve of the dome, just large enough for a low bed, a small table, a lamp, and a pane of glass overhead where the night can be seen without being too much. The bed is covered with white sheets and water and a quilt in muted green and blue. At the foot lies the blanket from the shelf, folded once more, as if it has always belonged here. The lamp is very low. Its shade is amber, and its light does not reach far. It warms the table, the edge of the quilt, the curve of the alcove wall, and nothing more than it needs to. On the table is a cup of water, a smooth stone, and a tiny dish for anything you would like to set down. A ring, a ribbon, a thought. the last small worry from the day. Through the glass above, the moon is softer than before. A little mist has gathered on the pane, so the sky appears brushed and gentle. The stars are faint, almost like light, seen through fabric. The dome ribs make slow dark arcs around the window, giving the night a shape that can be held without effort. You sit on the edge of the bed. The mattress gives a little. The quilt is cool at first. Then warmer where your hand rests on it. The pillow waits, clean and soft, holding the faint scent of linen, dried in greenhouse air. From here, the observatory sounds far away and close at the same time. Water below, leaves below, a lamp below, the whole glasshouse breathing quietly under the moon. From the alcove, you do not need to walk anymore. The observatory can go on without your footsteps. Somewhere below, a lamp in the foyer lowers by a shade. A lamp near the moonflowers answers, becoming warmer and smaller. The star map room keeps one circle of light on the table, then lets even that circle soften. The telescope balcony remains blue and brass in the dome's shadow, its old instrument pointed calmly at the same quiet patch of sky. You can imagine each room settling. The moonflowers remain open. The ferns hold their beads of water. The maps rest in their drawers. The pool holds the moon in a loose reflection. The workroom keeps its tools on their hooks. The cabinet keeps its lenses behind clouded glass. No room disappears because you are no longer looking at it. This is one of the kindest parts of a sleep story. The place stays safe after attention drifts away. You pull the quilt a little higher. The fabric has enough weight to be reassuring and not enough to feel heavy. The pillow cools your cheek. The lamp by the bed is low enough that the room has no sharp corners. Above, moonlight rests on the pane. Below, the greenhouse is only a layered quiet. Leaves, water, glass, stone, and warm lamps reflected in dark paths. You do not have to count breaths. You do not have to follow every sound. The observatory can keep nothing from anyone. The observatory can keep them softly for you. It can keep the drop of water falling into the bowl. It can keep the petal floating near the edge of the pool. It can keep the old telescope's gentle angle. It can keep the lantern path on the hill, waiting softly under mist. The quilt catches a little moonlight near the foot of the bed. Its stitched squares are quiet colors: mist gray, pale blue, muted green, cream, and one narrow line of warm amber thread. The pattern is simple. It is the kind of pattern the eyes can follow for a moment and then forget peacefully. Square beside square, stitch beside stitch. A small moon-colored patch here, a soft leaf-colored patch there. Your hand rests on the fabric. The weave is slightly uneven in a pleasant way. It feels made by time, by patience, by someone who understood that sleep likes simple things, repeated gently. Outside the alcove, the corridor is almost dark now. Only one lamp remains at the landing, making a small oval of light on the runner. Beyond it, the stair curves down into shadow. There is no need to go back now. The path has already brought you where it meant to bring you. A faint sound rises from below. Water into bowl, bowl into pool, pool into stillness. Then leaves shifting in the mild air, then glass cooling under the night. You may let these sounds become softer than words. You may let the rooms blend together. The tea alcove can drift beside the star maps. The bridge can pass through the moonflower beds. The telescope can rest among ferns. Sleep does not require the exact architecture. The lamp beside the bed gives one tiny, steady glow. The moon gives another, broader and cooler. Between them, the alcove is held in a balance of warmth and silver, quilt and glass, body and night. Nothing begins suddenly. Nothing ends suddenly. The story only becomes quieter, like a path, disappearing into moss, because it no longer needs to be followed. Below the alcove, the moon garden continues in its own slow way. You do not have to see it clearly. It is enough to know it is there. The moonflowers are pale in their beds. The ferns make layered shadows. The water in the reflecting pool holds the lamps in long, sleepy shapes. The bridge waits over the dark oval. The workroom table keeps its seed envelopes stacked neatly beneath the green-shaded lamp. Perhaps a caretaker passes through much later, though even that thought is almost too much movement now. If someone does pass, they do so softly, only to lower a wick, close a vent, place a cup on a tray, or fold a blanket over the back of a bench. Care continues quietly. Whether anyone watches or not, the observatory is not empty. Not quite. It is held by glass, held by plants, held by old wood, brass rails, stone paths, and warm lamps placed low near the floor. You can let yourself be held by it too, without needing a reason. The day may have had lists, edges, clocks, and small unfinished things. They are not needed here. The star maps remain unread. The labels stay turned away. The telescope does not ask for an eye at its lens. The moon does not ask to be named. Everything becomes simpler. A bed under the dome, a quilt over the body, a pane of glass above, a garden below. The breath comes and goes. The lamp glows and lowers. The moon stays where it is, softened by mist. If a petal drops into the pool receives it. If a leaf releases water, the water finds its bowl. If your attention drifts, the observatory receives that too, gently, without comment. The moon behind the glass no longer needs to be looked at directly. It is only a brightness in the room, a soft place in the dark, a round quietness blurred by condensation on the pane. If your eyes are open, you can see it. If your eyes are closed, you can still feel where it is, the way one feels a lamp through thin eyelids, or the nearness of a window in a familiar room. The dome gathers the night and makes it small. It gathers the plants. It gathers the plants and makes them sheltering. It gathers the old instruments and makes them peaceful. All the separate rooms of the observatory begin to fold together into one slow impression. Lantern, path, warm, door, moonflowers, ferns. Star map, brass telescope, bridge. Pull, tea alcove, stair. All quilt, moon. The order does not matter now. The place can rearrange itself into softness. The path can curve differently in a dream. The pool can be nearer the bed. The moonflowers can bloom beside the star map table. The telescope can stand quietly among blankets. Nothing is broken by becoming less exact. The lamp beside you lowers another shade, or perhaps it only seems to. The room grows deeper without becoming dark in any frightening way. Corners disappear. The table becomes a small, warm shape. The cup of water catches one pale line from the moon, then lets it go. Your hands can rest Your shoulders can rest. Your thoughts can be carried by the same slow building that carries water through hidden pipes and light through curved panes. The moon remains behind the glass. The garden remains below. The story remains, and it no longer needs to be followed. Now the story can become very small. Only the alcove, only the quilt, only the moon softened by glass and mist. You do not need to walk back down the stair. Through the tea alcove, past the lenses, over the bridge, beside the pool, around the star map table, through the ferns, past the moonflowers, and out the lantern, and out to the lantern path. The observatory can remember the route for you. It knows the warm door. It knows the stone foyer. It knows the pale flowers opening quietly after dusk. It knows the brass telescope and the map drawers, and the little bowl where water enters the pool. It knows the hill below, with lanterns set low among wet leaves. All of it can stay where it is while you rest. If the moon moves behind a cloud, it moves gently. If a lamp lowers, it lowers slowly. If the plants continue their night blooming work, they do it without needing your attention. The observatory does not close all the way. It stays half-lit somewhere beyond waking, a glass house on a quiet hill, warm inside, blue outside, with a bed under, the dome, and a garden breathing below. The path can be there for another night. The cup can be washed and turned upside down on the tray. The blanket can be folded over the bench by the door. The maps can sleep in their drawers. The telescope can keep its old calm angle toward the softened sky. And here, under the glass, the story lowers its final lamp until there is only moonlight, leaf shadow, quiet water, and the slow kind, dark, carrying everything onward without a sound.